Last night, OpenAI released 3 new AI models, their most powerful models to date. These are the GPT-4.1 models, and they come in 3 different sizes. First in a nano size, second in a mini, and third in a regular. Naming AI models is also never easy. I suppose these are meant to be somewhere between 4.0 and 4.5. They're meant to be outperforming 4.0 across all categories, so let's take a look at that right now. Here's the official post about GPT 4.1 from OpenAI. And the first exciting thing is the fact that it's already available in the API, and the fact that they have a brand new first ever nano model, which I assume is smaller, but hopefully performs still quite well. If we scroll through, we can see that in terms of coding, GPT 4.1 is already 21.4% better than GPT 4.0 and 26.6% better than 4.5, which is strange because you would assume that 4.5 as a higher number should perform better. Additionally, these new models have 1 million tokens of context. This is nearly 10 times more than 4.0, and it's quite useful when working with large projects, especially when it comes to coding. Here's a quick graphic of the SWE benchmark in terms of coding, and you can tell that 4.1 is performing the best out of all of OpenAI's models right now, even 4.5, which is OpenAI's largest and most expensive model. So it should come as no surprise that they're going to be getting rid of it in the next few months, so just be aware of that. Additionally, 4.1 mini is outcompeting 4.0 mini on performance and on price. So it shouldn't be a surprise if they get rid of that too. When it comes to coding very large files, GPT 4.1 is quite reliable at code diffs, coming in almost twice as good as 4.0. There's an actual benchmark for this right over here, which I'm going to check out. And you can see that it's got a pretty good score here, beating things like Claude 3.5 and a couple of other models. But if we scroll all the way to the top, we can see that the top position is currently held by Gemini 2.5 Pro, which I wouldn't be surprised if the fact that these new models are released because of a consequence of how well Gemini is performing right now. One issue I've also had with the OpenAI models are the fact that when it comes to coding prompts like this one over here, where it is to create a flashcard, it never performed as well as things like Claude 3.5. It would create a very plain interface. So this is another improvement with 4.1, where now it creates much better interfaces for coding tasks, which should give you the ability to one-shot and additionally, I suppose, code out different ideas much faster and more elegantly than we could in the past. 4.1 also has improved instruction following. This means that if, for example, this was someone you're trying to hire, well, they're going to follow your instructions a lot better than they did in the past. This includes a number of varieties, such as following instructions in files like XML or Markdown. Negative instructions, where you tell a model not to do a specific thing and it avoids doing that thing. Ordered instructions, where you tell it to do things in a specific order. Or content requirements, like always include X, Y, and Z when you're doing something. Ranking, which means that you want to sort different types of responses in a specific order, and overconfidence, which allows it to tell you that it doesn't know how to do something properly based on the content you've already provided. These are pretty important things when you're coding, because I don't want it to just spit out any answer and for this to cause bugs in the future. Now, pricing. What does it cost to start using it? Because while it's available to all developers right now through the API, it doesn't make it free. If we have a look at the pricing, 4.1 comes in at $2 per a million input tokens and $8 per million output tokens. That's around 26% less expensive than 4.0. Their nano model is also one of the cheapest at 10 cents per million input tokens and 40 cents per million output tokens. This is a significant price reduction. And if you're comparing 4.1 against models like Claude Sonnet 3.7, well, that comes in at maybe half the price, more or less, because Claude Sonnet is about $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. There's this really cool compare page, which reminds me of the Apple Compare Devices page, where you can compare different types of AI models. And this makes sense because, wow, there are quite a few different types of OpenAI models now, and this list is only growing. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a bit of a nightmare to manage in the future, but for the time being, we can compare the differences between 4.1 to 3.5 and see how the token window has increased from 16,000 tokens to 1 million. Another fact fact worth knowing is that while 4.1 is multimodal, it doesn't produce reasoning tokens. So for those sorts of things, you'll still need to use models like O1 or O3 mini, or even 4.5 while it remains functional. 4.1 is also not available on ChatGPT just yet. It isn't one of the listed models, so if you do want to use it, you need to access it as a developer through an API. For example, right now I've got a number of automations set up in Zapier to do different tasks, like post on my Discord community whenever a new video comes out. They're also the sponsor of today's video, so it's definitely worth checking them out because I use them for some pretty cool things. Since I previously set this up with Claude as well as 4.0, I'm going to try 4.1 to see if it performs better at summarizing my videos and posting them on Discord. I'll test the response here through a general conversation prompt, which produces this chat just here. This is pretty usable, and then I can plug this straight into Discord as an event to post. If I head over to my Discord now and have a look at my chat, you can see here this Zap has posted that with my most recent video on the top developer tools you should try in 2025. This is a pretty engaging post, and it shows how quickly 4.1 can replace previous models you might have set up with different types of tools. Here's another way I'm currently using OpenAI's models to filter through my emails, because I get hundreds of emails per day and often I don't have time to read them all. So instead, I usually do that at the end of the day. But sometimes there are certain emails which are time critical or I should reply to immediately. This is where I could use 4.1 to filter through important emails and then send me a WhatsApp message directly if there's one of importance with a summary of that straight to me directly. Now to test GPT 4.1 for coding. If you're using Cursor and you don't see the model on the right-hand coding panel, then there's likely an update you can select in order to update Cursor and have it available. You can see it's right over here, GPT 4.1, which I'm going to select and try out. What I really want to test is if the larger context windows actually produce better results when I'm querying the model to perform different tasks. And while I do feel sad that it cannot think, which means it's not doing much reasoning in the background, as long as I explain my task properly, hopefully it still performs quite well. Here's a web app I'm currently building that allows you to drag and drop different types of designs. Right now, I've got a bug that when I drop a design over, it causes the entire frame to disappear. I had trouble identifying this, so I headed over to GPT 4.1, allowing it to read through all of my codebase to help me identify what's causing this issue. This is one thing that 4.1 really excels at, which is kind of like a needle in a haystack, going through a large context window and identifying the exact issue that might be happening in a single line of code. In this case, it identified that the way I was generating unique IDs wasn't great, because when I hot reload, it would regenerate the counter and cause the unique ID to reset, essentially making this a development-only bug. It's still too early to tell what coding will actually be like with 4.1, but I'll let you know as I use it more. Finally, if you want to check out GPT 4.1 right now, then maybe jump on Windsurf, since they are providing free usage for it for the next 7 days.